Former Kiwi batsman Martin Crowe has slammed Team India for their performance in the one-day series. Crowe has warned Dhoni and his side that the going only gets tougher from here.
He's one of the best batsmen to have played the game from this part of the world. Kiwi great and former captain of the New Zealand cricket team, Martin Crowe, joins us for a very special chat here on Headlines today. Martin, thank you so much, Mari. How have you been doing? You've got so many fans in India also, and you've been out of action. We haven't seen much of you for the last few years. This is probably your first interview after many years. How's been the battle against lymphoma? I know you've undergone chemotherapy just like Yuvraj Singh and won the battle also.
It's gone well, thank you. It's it took a year or so, but I've come out strong the other side and got my health back to 100% and feeling good about cricket again and enjoying the fact that the Indians are in New Zealand, and while they're having a tough time at the moment, we're looking forward to 2 tests and I'll be watching those closely.
Yeah, you were one of the few former greats who predicted a tough time for the Indian world champions Indian team. You said that probably New Zealand will give them a tough time, and that is how it happened exactly.
Well, I was probably predicting that more in the Test series, thinking, for example, I was predicting that New Zealand might produce wickets that would be more, in favour of the faster bowlers. So we'll see what happens there. But certainly mentally, I think New Zealand have been buoyed by their win, and India will have to work hard to get that confidence back, I think, if they're to play well in the Test series. But they've got Pujara coming back, and they've got Zahir coming back. So they're a side that has a lot of experience.
Where do you think that India went wrong?
They were a little bit tentative, and when you're tentative, you're going to nick out a little bit, which they did. And I think that put a lot of pressure on Kohli, who responded initially. And the middle order was exposed a bit. Raina and Riyadu and Rahane were all just showing that they're not quite in top form, and so they weren't able to chase down those scores, and all of a sudden they faced a 2-0 deficit. They played well to get out of the third one with a tie, thanks to Jadeja in that final 10 overs. And then they went back to their old habits, where they didn't show enough belief in themselves to post a score or to chase down a score.
But the pace bowlers, they've completely let us down.
Well, you rely on Ishant Sharma, I suppose, because he's the only one that's been in New Zealand before in that one-day lineup. But he just seemed to be struggling. The weight of the world was on his shoulders, and he just didn't deliver. So I felt they had to make room for Aaron to come in. But he's young, and so it's going to take him a couple of tours to get settled. So same with Kumar and Shami on their first tours to New Zealand. So it was always going to be difficult for them. I think the surprise, though, was that the spinners just did not penetrate at all. And to see Ashwin go throughout the whole series, just 1 wicket, was a real shock. And I think
they were concentrating more on stopping runs rather than taking wicket.
I think Dhoni got into a defensive frame of mind. He felt perhaps that it didn't matter to take wickets, that they would chase the scores down anyway. But really, I think he was wrong in that. Looking back in hindsight, he needed to be a bit more proactive, try and maybe gamble a little bit more to get wickets. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but that'll be probably the very lesson to Dhoni to take into next year's World Cup, that he's got to attack a little bit more in these conditions.
Do you still see them as favourites to win the 2015 World Cup, the reigning world champion?
I don't, no. I think they've got a lot of work to do. I think they've shown that this could be such a big wake-up that they make some changes, particularly mentally, and their attitude to the one-day game. I think they've got pretty much the players they need. They've just got to respond quickly to these sorts of conditions, and not just rely on chasing big scores down, not just rely on spinners, that it's a team effort in these conditions, because they're even in the sense that there's good pace and bounce, as opposed to home conditions in India, which are a little bit lower and slower.
And Test series will, of course, be very difficult. You've got Test match at Eden Park, and then Basin Reserve, the wind playing its role. We have Zahir Khan, but it's going to be a tough task for India.
Well, it will. That's, as I said, if New Zealand produce wickets with a little bit of zest in them, a bit of energy, then I think this New Zealand side with Southee and Trent Boult combining again, having done so well against the West Indies, young Neil Wagner who bowls pretty quick, they'll be a handful, no question about that. So India got a lot of work to do in the week leading up to the Test match to try and get their players to be more mentally fresh and more positive.
Just talking about some other things right now which are happening in world cricket, whatever is happening, the big three ganging up, a lot of things being said that they want to scrap the FTP and get this two-tier system. What do you make this, how do you see things happening right now with ECB, BCCI and Cricket Australia all getting together?
Well, it was a document that was perhaps ill-advised in that, it wasn't transparent, it wasn't open to all members. It got leaked, and therefore a lot of the momentum of public response was negative towards it. Things like the two-tier system, I think, got rubbished worldwide. And I think what we've seen in recent days is that they're backing out of that. They're starting to remove some of the things that were in that discussion paper, or position paper as they called it. And things seem to be starting to settle down. But I think what we've seen is that the intent of the big three has been a little bit bullish. They've tried to take over and they've tried to put people under threat, and I think that's probably going to count against them because they're in the minority, even though they're the big three.
Three things that India should do to get their act right for winning the 2015 World Cup. Three things that you think that are very important for India to do right away after this one-day series defeat where they were not able to win even a single match.
Well, sometimes, a crisis, even though it's only a mini one, given that, maybe playing away from home has become a bit of an issue for India. So, look, they've got to do their homework and their research about playing away. That's probably the first thing. I think you need to get familiar with conditions. Maybe they need to send some players abroad to just get a feel for Australia and New Zealand with the World Cup in mind. The second thing is I think they need to start to really be more positive and more proactive. And just the same way they attack the opposition in India, they need to attack when they go away. And the third thing is they've got to obviously try and select a team which is going to express their real skill. The skill factor is down a little bit. They're not swinging the ball much, they're not spinning the ball much, and they're not playing their strokes enough here in New Zealand. So maybe they have to consider the skill factor, which is really all part of believing in yourself. And who knows, if they can do those three things, they might repeat the dose on the world and win the World Cup once more.